Hello, in today's video we are going back to the Magento app YAM file to the specific mounts field configuration, and as we've seen in previous videos, there are only like 4 directories that are configured by default with the fresh installation of Adobe Commerce Cloud. Of course we can change it, but to do it let's firstly switch to Adobe Commerce Cloud documentation. Let's see what we have here, and then we will see it in action. So we are in the properties for application configuration page. If we click on the mounts field here, we can see some more additional details. So firstly, like I said before, we have 4 directories that are configured to be writable, and these are var, and this directory is used to store different types of data generated by Adobe Commerce application. It typically includes log files, cache files, session files, and other temporary files. There is also app etc, and this directory contains essential configuration files for the Adobe Commerce application. We have pub media, and in pub media we store media files uploaded to the Adobe Commerce, so it basically includes product images, videos, and so on. Also there is a 4th mount which is called pub static. This is a 4th directory, and it contains static files that are generated during the deployment or compilation of Adobe Commerce application. And these static files include CSS style sheets, JavaScript files, fonts, and other assets required for the front-end presentation of the store. And these directories must be writable in order to ensure proper working of Adobe Commerce application. However, Adobe Commerce Cloud gives us an option to configure additional mounts for our own disposal, and also give us an option to make the mount accessible by web, and we'll do it in a second. Alright, so how does it actually work? So we have the mounts field that you can find in the Magento app YAM file, and it consists of 2 sides. There is a left side, the key, and a key specify the relative path to the directory that we want to make writable, that you want to make a mount, and this is a relative path to the from the root of the repository. So in our main repository we have a var directory that we want to make writable, and on the right we specify where this mount will be located. So we are saying that firstly we need to specify this shared key, which means that we share a volume between your applications inside an environment. So in this shared space we will have a files var mount that will be containing all the files from the var directory, and it will be writable. Alright, and before we go to our project to see it in action, I need to mention 2 or 3 more things. So here we can also see that there is this disk property which defines the size available for the shared volume. So in the Magento app YAM file, by using the disk property, we can specify the size of this shared volume, right? So this is also important to be aware that the space is limited, and by using this disk property we can alter it. Also, it is very important for all the for the staging and production environments. So for the infrastructure as a service environments, you need to create a Adobe Commerce support ticket to update the mounts and disk configuration for application, right? So for the platform as a service environment it's not required. You can simply alter the Magento app YAM file, and it will be automatically resolved and deployed and updated. But with the infrastructure as a service you must create a ticket for Adobe Commerce Cloud. And also we can make our mounts, I mentioned it before, but we can make it web accessible by using the web block in also Magento app YAM file. And it's very important that once you have some data in your mount, so for example you have some data in the pub static, so if you change this name, it will mean that all the files will be destroyed. So that's why there is this warning. So this value is the unique identifier for the files area. If you change this name, you'll lose all site data stored at the old location. So please be aware of it. Alright, so now that we are aware of the risks, we can go to PHP Storm to the Magento app YAM file, and here we can see there is this disk property that we mentioned. Also there is this mounts field that we are interested in. So like I said before, like we saw in the documentation, those directories, those mounts are configured by default. And now let's imagine a scenario that we want to create a pub upload directory where we will store some files uploaded by administrators of our Adobe Commerce instance, and we also want to make it web accessible, so we don't need to do anything inside of Adobe Commerce instance. We can do it directly in Adobe Commerce Cloud configuration. So let's just define that we want to use the pub upload directory, and we want to make it also writable, right? Because when we create a mount, we define that this directory is writable, and we also need to define a place on the right side of this mounts key. So we define that in the shared volume, in the files directory, there will be upload directory that will be connected to this one. And now to make it accessible by web, we need to change the web field. But before we do it, let's see what the documentation of Adobe Commerce Cloud can say about this field. So we have the web property documentation page, and the web property defines how your application is exposed to the web, determines how the web application serves content, and controls how the application container responds to incoming requests, and so on and so on. And here we can see we have quite options here for setting this whole rules and whole configuration. Here at the bottom we can see the default configuration. So this is the out-of-the-box configuration that we receive with Adobe Commerce Cloud. So by default, the default configuration allows the following: from the root path, only web and media can be accessed, and from the pub static and pub media paths, any file can be accessed. So if we go over this file, let's see, we have the web and subfield locations. We define the root location, so after the slash, so everything after the slash will go to this location, and we define that the public directory of the app relative to its root is pub, right? Everything will go through the index PHP, so this is the front controller, and files never expires. We allow scripts to be run, and here the allow field is saying that we do not allow for files that do not meet the requirements of the rules. So here in the rules section we define what is allowed, what like formats of files are allowed or not. Then we have the media directory and static directory. So again, for media we define that the root of this location is pub media, so everything that will go through /media will go to actually pub media directory that is relative to the root of the project. We allow everything. We do not allow scripts. Files expire after 1 year, and it goes through the get PHP script, or let's say controller. And the same for static, but with static we have other pass-through and some other rules. And also very important, this configuration only supports single domain, so a single store setups. If you require multi-domain setup, there is another page for configuring that. Also, I will make sure that I will create a video for it later. But let's now switch to our project, and let's actually create a configuration to allow that pub upload directory to be visible in web. So to make it, let's just simply copy the media configuration. So we will define that there is a key upload. The root of this location will be pub upload, right? Again, we allow everything. Scripts are not allowed. So of course we can change this expires field, but let's leave it as it is. And we don't need to use any like front controller or any pass-through file, so we can just simply remove it. And that should be all. With this, we can now simply commit. So let's actually go to our shell. Let's clear it, and let's commit the change in the file. So let's confirm that we see, so yeah, we added this line to mounts directory, to mounts field, and also this location to the web field. So now let's commit that, add new mount plus location, and now let's push it. So of course this will take some time, so we will skip it to the result. Alright, so the deployment is done. Now by using Magento Cloud mounts command, we can see if the Adobe Commerce Cloud correctly pick up the configuration, and indeed we can see that there is a new mount called pub upload. So now let's connect to SSH by using Magento Cloud SSH, and let's go to the pub directory and let's see if there is a new directory created. And indeed we can see that there is an upload directory created. So we didn't create any directory in a Git repository, it was just simply created by Adobe Commerce Cloud. And now let's go to it and check if it's writable. So let's use, for example, touch, and indeed this directory is writable. And now let's check it is accessible by web. So let's, for example, create a new file called xyz.json. Let's simply put some content here. So JSON. Okay, let's save it. Let's close the connection and let's use the Magento Cloud URL to connect to our browser with the correct URL. So we'll simply specify the second URL because it's secured, it's HTTPS. And now, as you remember, in the web field we configure the upload location. So it's not pub upload, it's upload. So let's get back again, upload, and we specify xyz.json, and we can properly see the content of the file. So, and with this simple change in the Magento app YAML file, we are able to create a new mount which is writable, so we can upload some new files to it. And also by using the web property, we were able to make this new mount web accessible. I hope it was helpful. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.